Hello, everybody. Welcome to Beyond BMR, and I am your host, Bigfoot, Michigan Rob. Joining me in Studio B, the great, the wonderful, the bearded wonder, Tex. Beyond BMR goes beyond the mysteries of the world. We take a deep dive into all of the rabbit holes, from Bigfoot to Dogman, UFOs and aliens, time travel, and the paranormal. How do they all come full circle? You're going to find us on iHeart and Odyssey Radio, Spreaker, and wherever podcasts are found, including KPNL Radio. Thank you to the lovely Selene out in Oregon for that. If you like what we have to share, the super chat is open. Yes, the super chat is open. Long after the show ends, we also provide the super thanks if you do care to donate. Please check us out. Texas Front Porch on YouTube. Bigfoot, Michigan Rob on YouTube. Like, share, subscribe. Don't forget to hit the alert button. You can also find Tex, Paracryptid Encounters at gmail.com. You can find Tex at Texas Front Porch on Facebook. You can find Rob at BeyondBMR at gmail.com. And Brunch with Bigfoot, Michigan Rob on Facebook as well. Sorry about the glitch in the Matrix. I had to turn because I had some of my show sheets displaced. As I mentioned earlier, we're on Mondays, Texas Front Porch, 9 o'clock in the East. Tuesdays is Van Buren Variety. You can find Bob on his channel, Van Buren Variety, 8 o'clock in the East. And, of course, on Tuesdays, Beyond BMR, 9 in the East. Jason McLean questions everything, 8 in the East on Wednesdays. Thursdays is Brunch with Bigfoot, Michigan Rob. You can find me and Krista at 1 o'clock in the East. Later on Thursdays is the Blondes, the Booze, the Paranormal Podcast at 9 o'clock in the East. Friday, if you need a little more woo mixed in with the booze, the Blondes, the Booze, the Paranormal Podcast, provide that at 9 o'clock Friday in the East. Saturdays, of course, if you're into true crime, Infamous Minds, Tex, Danielle Diva, Saturday, 3 in the East. Jessica Jones, Saturdays on Spaced Out Radio. Again, you can find her Saturday and Sunday at 10 o'clock in the East. Please subscribe to Bigfoot, Michigan Rob. Please subscribe to Texas Front Porch. Subscribe to the Blondes, the Booze, Paranormal Podcast. Jason McLean questions everything. Van Buren Variety. Thank you so much for the support. The super chat's open, and I'm going to bring up Tex. So I got a couple things to start it off with for my illustrious buddy down south. Hey, Tex.
What's up, man?
Thank you for the traditional salute, like you start every show. Most appreciated. And I gotta say, Tex, I really appreciate you and all you do. You put together some fabulous shows, some fabulous channels. You're growing. I'm growing. Jason's growing. The Booze are growing. And we have an illustrious cast of people. We have great shows. Not only do we do live shows, but we do broadcasts, videos, the whole 9 yards. Today's show is just me and Tex. We're gonna talk some high strangeness, I think. But before I get started, I do have to make mention, a good friend of mine personally, and a great friend to the channel, Dave Scott, Space Out Radio. Prayers to Dave and his family, his mom. I'm not getting into the details. He could use your prayers. It's Space Out Radio, Dave Scott. So give a little prayer tonight when you go to bed for Dave and his mother. And I will just leave it at that because it's not my business to give the details. If you're on Facebook or whatever social media, Instagram, you can go look that up. Tex, how's it going, my friend?
It's going good. Getting ready for we're leaving in the morning. Me and Randy are gonna leave out about 8 a.m. ish and head to Alabama. So
That's right. The Alabama Bigfoot Conference starting. And if any of our great Muslims drop that link, that would be sweet to do so. So, Tex, are you speaking at the conference? I'm going to play like I'm a dummy. What do you got going on? You know. Then again, that's not hard
um,
for me to do sometimes. But
yes, I am, and I'm not the only one. Krista and Brandy are also speaking.
awesome.
They're they're gonna be talking about LBL and their experiences there, and I guess a little bit of history and stuff like that. Um, and then I'll be talking about Dogman and my experiences, and I'll be talking about the latest evidence, the handprints and stuff we got, and out of Brown Springs, that type of thing. So I'm looking forward to it. I am. Uh, it's a lot of great speakers out there that are going to be there too. So, and of course vendors. I mean, we're all going to be there. I think I told Brandy will sign any body part without question. So even if she can't do nothing but put her initials on it, she'll sign it for you.
Yeah, that's outstanding. That's great. I feel that's cool for the Blondes and Blues to be to that. I was there with you last year, and Jason and Randy, and Bob had just a fabulous time. This year, I'm probably going to be at one conference, and that's it. Because I'm going to save up for next year. And I tell you what, though, for anybody that's listening or anybody in chat, these conferences, the Bigfoot conferences, Dogman conferences, the UFO conferences, you do learn quite a bit at these, and you can, pick the brains of the various speakers. There's a lot of authors there. And of course, if you have wares to sell books, if you've got stickers, keychains, coffee mugs, that's also a great thing to do. So it's really got a lot of things. You know what I like most? When we were in Jefferson, which is really sweet, Tex, not only was that a cool town, but all the cool things that if you're enthusiasts of any of the topics, there's a lot of cool stuff that these vendors provide for us to purchase as fans or as people that are interested in the genre.
Yeah, it's interesting because a lot of local craft folks come in. That I know there's one guy going to be there that's local to the area there in Oxford or Anniston, wherever, and or Anniston, yeah. And he's a woodworker, and everything's hand carved and everything. And he's got some walking sticks and canes and stuff that are Bigfoot themed and all that kind of stuff. So that's going to be cool. I'm even bringing up some stuff that a friend of mine made, and she got into doing macrame, and I said, she just does it because it keeps her busy, type thing, and I'm like, this stuff's really pretty. Why don't you? Have you ever tried to sell it? And she makes pot hangers and plant hangers and keychains and all this kind of stuff. So I'm gonna be bringing some of her stuff with us, and so it's pretty cool looking. I got one of her keychains because I have a problem keeping up with my keys, so it certainly helps me in that area for sure.
Well, it's cool because last year everybody texts. Well, I had a problem with this when I had to leave home though. Again, Tex bought me the coolest Bigfoot casting, right, or cast way back from signed by Bob Gimlin, and that's one of the things that Tex bought me, and I had a lot of problems bringing it over the what do you
Oh
call
yeah,
that? Do you remember that, Tex? What is this? What is in this bag?
your block of
We
cocaine Bigfoot
block of
cast.
it was a cocaine. It was a block of cocaine. Absolutely. We had a guy in front of me. So there's the it was on my carry on, and the one belt was going straight where it's supposed to go, and then there was one that goes to the right. Well, guess what happened to good old BMR? Excuse me. Mine made a right-hand turn. The guy in front of me says, "Dude, you're in trouble." I'm like, "What in the world can I be in trouble for?" So it goes down this chute, ends up, and I get the finger, "Come here, sir." I'm like, looking around like a dummy. Who, me? Yes, you. Get pulled out of line, taken back to this search area. Sir, could you open your bag? Yes, I can, sir. Going through the bag. Now I had the cast right in the middle of all my clothes, so I kind of did kind of hide it. I should have put it right on top. So I
Well,
kind
yeah,
of,
but I mean, you had it wrapped so it
yeah,
wouldn't get, cut. I mean, so it wouldn't get
yeah.
broke. You know.
Well, that's what I did. I was not thinking about any of this at the airport. I had all these dirty shirts, towels wrapped in it, ready, good to go. So I made the dumb comment, "What is this?" I said, "Well, it's a Bigfoot cast." I was in Alabama. I was a speaker. I am Bigfoot Michigan Rob. Here's my business card. They didn't think it was funny at all. I said, "Don't worry, it's not. It's not. There's no cocaine baked into there." Why I said that, I have no idea. So there was like 3 or 4 people around me at this time. Then before you know it, in less than 32 seconds, I'm swarmed by security and actual law enforcement people, and going through this. And they, again, I wasn't. They did not think I was funny. Then 20 minutes, I start telling them stories about Bigfoot. And yes, I was just, again, reiterating the story back at the conference, yada yada. So we started talking text, and so some of the security, they backed off. Just me and a handful of people, and we're getting involved in these stories. And these people were like, "Wow, man, these are cool stories." And I'm like, "Holy cow, I got to get going." And they said, "Well, really, you don't, because we just got word that your plane's been delayed for 2.5 hours. So please continue on with your stories." So again, it was a lot of fun. I was a little nervous, although I was doing nothing illegal. But hey, whenever there's law enforcement, security at an airport, I don't care who you are, you're going to get just a little nervous, even though I was breaking no laws. But I just had that little pit in my stomach was kind of turning over. So, as you know, and a lot of people listening to me now, you know what happened. It took me about 12 hours to get home. Tex and Jason drove from Alabama all the way home to Texas, and I was still locked up at my second airport.
Yeah, we actually drove, and it's a 12-hour drive, and we beat you home. That was
Yeah, I flew home from Alabama with a couple stops in between. And yes, Tex and Jason were home before I got home. And I spent more money at the airport bars than I did during the whole 3 day conference. It was just unbelievable.
I'm really surprised they didn't scrape stuff off and test that cast.
You
I
know,
really am.
I'm just so glad, Tex, they didn't break it. I'm so glad they didn't break it. And I never told you this story, by the way. A couple days later, I took that cast and I headed outside on the grass. And so I took my bare foot, and I wanted to compare the size of my foot to the cast you bought me. So like a dummy, did good old BMR put his foot on the outside of the cast for the measurement?
You broke it,
No.
didn't you?
I put my foot inside the cast. I gave it a little pressure, and I cracked it right in the middle, and it broke half in two. Tex, this is the first time I'm telling you this. I was so distraught and just so mad for being such a dumbass. However, when it broke so perfectly that it was a streamlined break right down the exact middle. So I went to the local hardware, or Lowe's, or I don't know where it was, Lowe's, and I got some Gorilla Glue, fittingly enough for all you apers out there. and I and I put a nice little layer between, where I broke the cast, put it together, and I hold it together really taut. I had to be sitting there like this for like 10 minutes. My arms are getting sore. And you know what? I will say this. Advertise other I don't market other products. Gorilla Glue, man, did the absolute trick. I still have it. It's one piece. You cannot tell Tex that it was even broken.
Well, at least it didn't shatter into 1,000 pieces.
Dad, I never would have told you. I just would have said thanks for the memento, and I would have moved on because you'd have been kind of what a dummy you are. And I probably would have gotten no more presents from you. So, so yeah, that was
Oh Lord.
but it was a great time. It was just a fabulous time though. So, but
You know,
that
it,
being s-
only you, Rob. Only.
yeah, well, well, only me, but that's why you keep me around and keep it lively, keep it
I've been wondering why
entertaining.
we keep you around. Now we know.
Yeah, especially with my high salary.
Yeah,
Did you
yeah.
see that really quickly for all you sports fans out there? Tex, I know you're a sports fan. You might not have seen this. Speaking of high salaries and little airtime, ESPN is going through this, and I was thinking about this show. Now, everybody, I'm kidding. We don't get paid nothing, but I was just thinking, they've had like 10 people that spend less than 11 hours a week on air, including during the NFL season, and these people make $15 million doing kind of what we do, but live to the audience watching the football games. So they're all coming in for a rude awakening, and they're getting rid of them. So I just had to think, yeah, Tex pays me all this big money for two shows a
Yeah.
week. What's going on? And again, I'm kidding everybody. We don't, we do what we do. We do this. We love doing it, but I just thought it was funny. So
Yeah, we're unfortunately we're not big enough to
make a million
we
bucks.
can't even the channel don't even self sustain itself right now.
Yeah,
So
I know. Yeah, that's why we just do it because we love doing it, and I appreciate everybody in chat, everybody that listens later, all of our subscribers. And thinking of our awesome subscribers, I got several emails from a couple people, and again, I say this quite often, you guys, in text, and you get them too. People are getting unsubscribed from channels for some reason, text, and alert bells are being shut off. So everybody
mhm.
that are current subscribers, just do us really the favor. Go back, make sure the alert bells are on, and make sure that you're
Yep.
still subbed. Obviously, if you're in chat or listening, you're still subbed. But between Tex, Rob, Jason, the Blondes, we've got damn near 10,000, 8,000 subscribers. Which thank you to everybody. And yeah, that's a lot of people to have their stuff shut off for. Thank you, Robin Blake.
That's awesome. Thank you. I don't know if y'all picked up on us, but me and Rob are not it's Scott, thank you, man. Appreciate it. We we're dragging a little bit this evening. We're both tired and
Well, the thing is June the first this show I purposely did not schedule anybody because as a lot of you guys know, I had that knee surgery text. I'm just now getting this up to speed. I mean, I'm tired every day, man. It's like, and I'm on today with you because I seriously thought about not even doing a show, but it's not fair to the people that tune in religiously each and every day.
exactly.
So I do it again for everybody. I do it for basically the people that listen. So no guests. Me and Tex would BS. I figured the title of the show is Monsters and Strange Phenomena, and we're gonna get into that. I know you don't want to hear us BS about this, that, and the other, but I appreciate each and every single one of you. Thank you. Be kind. Thank you so much for the super chat. We got 3 off the bat text, and that's why we
Wow.
do this for the great people that we have.
Y'all are so generous. I mean, it's just, it floors us all. It's just, hmm.
And we love it. We appreciate you guys. Words can't express anything, text. And thank you so much, Be Kind, for that. So, Tex, what do you think? What do you got in the hopper, man? I know that again, not a scheduled subject matter, but I will say this. Okay, we had a show. Me and Brandy had Dave Scott on last week, and Dave Scott brought up what is evidence, and I don't want to get into what is evidence like we did on the prior show, but it almost because I always we welcome people to come on our show because this is a safe place
Right.
to go. If you have an encounter story and you want to be heard, you want to come live on the show. If you want to send in a story to me that I produce or text, whatever the case may be, again, we have an open format, a policy that says we will not call you out as anything other than you had an experience, you had some place to go where no one else could trust you or no one else would believe you, much how I felt for 8 months. So, with that being said, Tex, and Dave was bringing up, it didn't matter if you had the best photo because people are going to ridicule you. If you had the blob video, you're going to get ridiculed.
Yep.
If you had audio, people are going to say, well, that's probably not that, it's something else. Overall, Tex, what do you think about some of these photos that have been circulating? Because I have seen a couple, and I'll be honest, some I've questioned, but and some I haven't. So, what's your overall thoughts moving forward into into the summer?
Well, I got to tell you, with the advancements in not just like the Photoshop and stuff, but AI,
Oh God,
I don't think, and unfortunately, this comes from somebody that would submit evidence and does. Um, Titan just paid your monthly salary. There you go.
yeah, well, yeah, you about did. Thanks, Titan. You're awesome.
Thank you, Titan. Um, but thank you so much. It's awful sweet of y'all. Um, Unfortunately, I don't think we can trust any photos. And it's going to come down to, and hey, Barry, it comes down to if you trust the person that is showing you the photo. That's
Yeah.
what it's going to come down to, you know? And I think I'm more apt to believe somebody that is probably the worst own skeptic and goes the extra mile and does their due diligence to debunk their own evidence than I will somebody that sends you a picture with 30 red circles around it and everything's a Bigfoot and so but like I said when it comes down to it it's gonna come down to the person that's submitting the evidence if you want to believe it or not because the truth is anybody can fake a photograph now or a video as far as that goes if you know what you're doing.
Yes.
um audio has always been that kind of way, I mean, and for me it's always came down to the person if they got credibility with me personally because unfortunately there's some out there that I cannot take their word for it, and
Yeah. And I think that what you say is correct. I think that we have. I'm my own skeptic. I'm not going into it. I'm at nauseum about what I seen with my own eyes.
Right, right.
I'm a knower, not a believer. I know that these things are out there. But if you get a picture text, like you made such a great point, what to believe, what not to believe, and you question people. What if you got something from somebody that you never heard of from before, and they send you a couple pictures? Some are pretty good, some are not so
Yeah.
good. How do you like? Let me ask you, because I know I get them all the time, as you do. What is your process you go through? I mean, I don't publish anything that's sent to me ever. I might share it with you in the group, our team. But what when you see something out of the blue from a guy? Hey, Tex, I'm a subscriber to the porch. What do you think of this? And you see it, and in your mind, you just without putting words in your mouth, what's the immediate thing that goes through your mind is determining whether you think it's skeptical or maybe the person has something.
I think, honestly, the first thing I do, and I approach it from a skeptic's point of view,
Right.
and it's I'll take the photograph and I'll run it through a series of filters. And if the image will not, because we have to admit, a lot of these images that we get of these creatures or entities, they are not, they're not clear, you know. In fact, I'm more suspect of the ones that are clear than I am the ones that aren't. Um, and I will say this about the people that has sent me stuff to look at.
Yes.
And again, this goes to how well educated in these areas that our audience is. They don't, 9 times out of 10, I don't get an email or a message and go with somebody going, I got a picture of a Bigfoot. 9 times out of 10, I get sent a picture and asked and asked that they're asking me, what do I think about this? Thank you, Jermac.
Thank you, Jermac.
And or could you look at this and see what you see? I love those because they're not leading you or anything else. It's like, look, I got something weird. Tell me what you think. And because I think that that tells me that people respect what I'm going to tell them, whether it's I see something or I don't. I'm going to be honest with them, you know. Um, and that to me that says a whole lot about our audience and about the level of trust that we have or they have in us. So that's kind of my process. I look at it from a very skeptical point of view, even my own stuff.
Yeah.
The I'm still trying to figure out this latest stuff that happened. I'm trying to figure out a logical reason about the piece of wood that was moved. I've asked a lot of people, and I can't come up with anything. Cannot come up with anything aside from a beaver. But then again, what or a person? What would a beaver be doing 300 yards from the water, having to climb a 15-foot bank and walking through trees that had plenty of low hanging fruit to grab? Why would he walk 300 yards and try to drag something back? That makes
Yeah.
no sense to me. And I've talked to wildlife people about it, and they're the same opinion. It makes no sense. Does it make sense it was a person? It would be very risky if it was a person because they would have had to been out there,
Yeah.
um,
You'd have
late
to
at night,
rummage around your campsite at night,
rummage
Tex.
around the campsite with no light.
Yeah.
That's not if it was somebody. They were not very. That was very very stupid on their part.
Yeah. And and for people that don't, I know see a lot of newer people, and And where Brown Springs is, everybody, and again, we talk about it. It's quite it's a thing we
Hmm.
do. Brown Springs is notorious for like nefarious things. We're not even
Right.
talking the supernatural. We're not talking cryptids. Murder has been conducted there. There has been
Yeah.
bodies dumped there. The mob, from wherever mob it is, whatever states, have murdered people there. And for somebody to snoop around a person in the woods camping in that location itself, I tell you what, Tex, from what I've heard about this place, if I was camping with you and I heard something that didn't sound like a Bigfoot or a Dogman or something supernatural, I thought it was a human, I'm pulling out a gun and I'm saying, hey, you know what? Who are you? Or I'm firing, right? You don't know.
Yeah.
You got
Yeah. I
crackheads,
was
meth
laughing at
heads,
Donna's
murderers.
comment. Um, and
Hey, you,
that's the
Don.
deal.
Thanks, Donnie. Yeah.
It's not like you're walking up to a camp where you can almost guarantee that everybody in the camp's armed. Even if they're not there just camp, they may be there hunting, and even if they're just there camping, they're packing.
Yeah.
So it wouldn't be real smart. I mean, and to do what they did with Nick's, Nick, they got so close to him, they pushed his tent in, and something was sniffing at him, you know, and whatever it was bipedal. It was big. I mean, I literally heard the footsteps go heel to toe. They were walking very slow and trying to be very quiet. So,
Yeah. And again,
but I'm not going to sit here and tell you it was a Bigfoot either.
well, no, you're not.
I
And
can't. I
again,
didn't see it.
no, and that's how we roll on this show, and we if we see something physically, we will tell you, yeah, I think I've seen a big and with that being said, I gotta say something. The reason I kind of came up with this subject today, I gotta find the audio for you for this text because I was listening to a sports radio show today, and they were talking about the latest in the UFO governmental, like the aliens. Now we have alien craft
Right.
that we've discovered. I'm not. That's not a show for us to do today because, frankly, I didn't research it. I was listening on sports radio, and this guy was saying, asking all of the audience on live terrestrial radio, by the way, and they were talking about talk. First, he talked to his co-host, the people in the studio, the booth, the producers. You guys believe in UFOs? And everyone said yes, except for the host of the show. His name's Mike Valente. 97 won the ticket, Detroit. So I'm sitting there listening, and I said, Mike, and I sent a text to the ticket. I texted, and I said, Mike, I got to tell you, UFOs do exist, and I'm really going to blow your noodle. I am Bigfoot Michigan Rob. That's my channel. So yeah, I said, why not market myself? And I'm going to blow your noodle. I seen a Bigfoot in 2018. So I sent the text, not expecting a response on air, of course. This
Right.
is a sport. It's a sports show. So they did a 30-second segment on the UFO thing, and then one of those producers said, "Hey, Mike, I'm going to read this text. You got to hear this text from some dude. Bigfoot says his name is Bigfoot Michigan Rob. So this is live on radio today. I'm going to say the piece when I get it. So he says, yeah, hey, Mike, blah, blah, blah. This guy, Bigfoot, Mr. Rob, Mike, UFOs exist. And by the way, I saw a Bigfoot. They exist too in Cadillac, Michigan. I saw a Bigfoot, Michigan Rob, my YouTube channel. So they read this live on air. Mike goes, Mike Valente, the host, what in the world are we doing here? You got to, dude, if you're out there, you got to call in. I got to hear this. And I called in. There was about 4 minutes left in the show. I said, well, I'm coming on the show, but you can't make fun of me. So I said, look, I can't tell you my encounter, but I do a show. I seen a Bigfoot. I believe that aliens and UFO existed. So Mike But here's the thing that we compete with. This guy did his best not to make fun of me, but he pretty much called me a how shall I say, a wacko, a
Right.
weirdo, a guy that, lives in mommy and daddy's basement. Yeah, he pretty much said most of those things, you guys.
Right.
And then I said, well, anyway, Bigfoot Mr. Rob's my channel, subscribe on YouTube. Then they cut me off. So, but now here's the thing. I got through. I was able to get all that. I gotta send that. The audio's not out. I'm waiting for this audio because I'm gonna play it on the show and I want to send it to you. But that is the thing, though, too. It was like you got to remember, and everybody listening, we are the people that believe in this stuff, mostly because most of us are experiencers. And if you just are just listening and you never thought twice about a Bigfoot or UFO, we are the weird ones. But again, as I tell everybody, I embrace being weird. But today, for the first time in my life, Tex, I felt it. Well, I've been doing this for a while, but my heart was like, wow, people really think
Yeah.
we're weird, you know?
Yeah. Yeah.
And I thought it was kind of shameful because we're not weird. I mean, yeah, do we like the weird? Yeah. But you know what? This stuff isn't weird.
Well, the thing about it is, and Thomas brings up a good point. He says weird is normal.
Right.
That I don't look at us as, I don't know, being called weird to me. I've almost gotten to where I take it as a compliment, because how boring would it be to be normal?
It doesn't
And
bug me really quickly, Tex. Yeah, I agree 1,000%. It don't bug me, but to have a person that's supposed like how I don't even know how to say this. I just felt like bad because we are what 5% of the population, 20%.
oh
So
yeah,
I just felt well, whatever the numbers are. But I really, for the first time in a long time, felt disrespected, and I don't throw out
yeah,
those terms, Tex. I don't. It don't bother me one way or the other, whether you believe me or not. I'm not talking about you. I'm talking about in general. But
right.
yeah, but there's so many more people that are totally thinking that these channels, these radio shows are just for ratings, or I can't believe you listen to that. You got a loose screw. So that's what I came away with that little under 90-second segment. So I'm sorry for that. Go ahead.
Well, I mean, are we any weirder than somebody that sits and listens to political podcast or sports podcast all the time?
Yeah.
Because the way I look at it, with what we are or what we do and what we're part of, this is something in our own lives. You know, nine times out of ten, nine people out of 10 out there that listen to us have had some kind of experience. Okay, something odd has happened to them in their life, so they know something more is out there. They're not sticking their head in the sand, and they're not closed minded. The the people that do nothing but listen to these political podcasts, and I have not. I'm telling you, most people that I've met that listen to all these political shows are just angry freaking people.
Yeah, they are.
And the
They're
ones that listen to nothing but sports, what are you doing? You're
yeah.
you're you're living vicariously through somebody, through some pros athlete, and you're keeping up with their stats. We're keeping up with our own experiences here,
Yes.
and that's the way I look at it. I mean, we're dealing with stuff that actually affects our lives.
Yeah.
Pro sports could go away, and it ain't going to affect me one iota.
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong. I love watching sports. You know that. I play
Yeah,
fantasy
I know
football.
that.
That's
Yeah.
my yard.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
But
Well, me and you are
NFL
big
could
fantasy
collapse tomorrow,
football
and I
geeks.
wouldn't care.
Yeah, we're big sports. I mean, you and I are pretty
Mhm.
passionate sports people, especially
Yeah,
with our football teams. I mean, I'm not okay. I love NFL football and college football. Those are my
right.
two go-tos. as far as sports go. The other ones, hey, you know what? If my team is doing well, then I'm a bandwagon fan. But I've been
Right,
with the
right.
Detroit Lions since I was 9 years old. They've sucked for ever, but they're my team,
Since
and
you were
I
nine
will.
years,
Yeah, no, dude, I've never seen a playoff win, man. But
thank you, Larry.
for whatever reason, I follow them because I love football and I love that. I love. I've coached football. I played football. I coached my nephew in football. That's my next to cryptids. Football is my thing. And but you're right. If I don't need to listen to a basketball podcast or
Mm,
baseball or hockey, football, yes, that's my thing. So with that being said, I'm as passionate about the Lions as I am Bigfoot. Right? Those
right.
those are my two go tos.
And I mean, and the thing about it is, there's nothing wrong with any of it. You
Well,
know,
no,
I mean,
there's not.
if that's what makes you happy, that's what makes you happy.
Hey, if you want to listen to
But
these crackpots on political radio, and I say crackpots, if you guys out there offended, I'm sorry, but yeah, they sound crazy. If that's your thing, I respect that though. I
yeah,
respect whatever you like. That's your thing. I respect it. That's why that's what makes the world go around because everyone's different, everyone's unique. Some people are weird, some people are strange, some people are steadfast, staunch fact people, and some people can skew the facts.
yep.
So
Oh, did you see what Scott put up? I
no.
like this. He says, I was at the Lions playoff in the Silver Dome when Barry Sanders ran an 80-yard touchdown.
Yes, Scott, you know what? Congratulations to you. I
And
never seen a Barry Sanders touchdown run live, unfortunately.
and I'll tell you that's since we're on the topic of sports, and
Yeah, I got you.
I don't want to talk about it a lot,
Sure.
but the level of athletics, the level of man, here we go. Texas
Athletics.
finding words again.
Yes, I know.
Athletics, dad gum. The
Athleticism is
level
what
that
you're
some of
trying to
these
say.
players play
Yes.
is just so
Un-
phenomenal.
yeah.
You know, it's I enjoy watching that level of talent. And honestly, it's the same thing with pro wrestling. You can talk about all you want about being fake or whatever, but these guys and women are phenomenal athletes, you know?
Oh God. Yeah. You know what? Now some of these athletes, they're
Thank you,
325
Twiggy.
pounds and 6'5".
Yeah.
They could probably pull off being a dog, man. That's how athletic they are. If they wanted to hoax something, they probably could, to be honest. The way
Oh, yeah.
their agility, but yeah, but not again, like you said, we're not gonna you just make great points. And as far as athleticism and again, whatever floats your boat, any subject matter, I want everyone to know I'm cool with whatever stokes your gears, right? It don't have to be all just scripted. It can be anything. I love watching cooking channels and stuff like that. I mean, I get into it for some reason. I like the BBQ Pit Masters. I watch that to learn how to get my cooking skills better. But again, we're
Right.
on a different tangent. But I guess what I'm trying to pull together is we all need to pull together as a people and as a society. Yeah, we like certain things. It does not mean to dislike the other person. We talk about the community, how everybody's at odds with their beliefs in the paranormal side, the flesh and blood side. So I guess this is kind of coming together. It doesn't matter what you believe, as long as you believe in something, Tex. That's what I
Yeah.
try to say. If you believe in something and you're passionate about it, then you get all my respect, whether I agree or not. It don't matter about me or you or Joe Blow.
Good
If you're
grief.
passionate and you believe it, you got my respect.
There you go, Rob. Scott says, Rob,
Oh,
my father was the bat boy for the Tigers. I have 2 team autograph balls, one for the pennant and another for the 1945 World Series.
holy cow. That's cool, Scott. That's great.
Yeah, that's awesome.
That is awesome. I got one World Series championship in 1984 that I was a part of. And of course, we had the Red Wings, 4 Stanley Cups, and the Pistons. So we've all been good except the Lions, to be honest. So,
You know,
and the
it's
funny thing is, the Lions is my team, and the other teams have all won.
maybe you ought to quit rooting for us.
Oh, God.
But you know, it's to me, it's refreshing to get in here and talk with people that are open minded and are talking about stuff that not only affects that person's lives, but for that affects others too, because they might be going through something similar, you know. And honestly, I don't know anybody that's going to be going through a problem getting paid $100 million a year. So
You know,
the poor guys. I mean, I feel so
yeah,
sorry for them.
I feel so bad. He had to miss 3 games. Like these guys get paid. Yeah, or well, we got 6 minutes for the break, but you have. Yeah, I'm with you, Tex. That's all I have to say. Yeah, you make $100 million, 5 year, 20 million a year. You know, you're making 450 grand a game, and you miss a game and you're bitching. Well, guess what? That the money you made for one game,
Yeah,
that's a lot of people don't make that in their lifetime.
right.
If you look at it that way.
Yeah, as far as I'm concerned, they have no reason,
The bitch.
no room, no room whatsoever to cry.
You can cry about the things that as humans we cry about.
Right,
Passing of a loved one, a child, you know,
right.
personal things that hit the home. But I don't give a shit about you missing a game because you got a broken ankle.
Yeah,
So,
yep.
so I was thinking today about that. I did that show, so I was sitting back. I was kind of, well, me, I brushed it off like, man, I really got hit. Look, guy tried to make me look like a fool, which I blew off. But I got my channel out there, so people might subscribe. You never know. It was on radio. It's a big radio station. But my thing was this: when you come across things, Tex, and I know that you follow a lot of different things, and I know we talk about cryptids all the time, but do you think though, outside of cryptids and the paranormal, do you think there are actual monsters that are out there that we've never even come across yet? It could be a cryptid that's out there that we've not seen, because you just mentioned a million people, so much uncharted territory in the ocean, the forests, all over. You think there's something more than just Bigfoot or Dogman that are walking
Oh,
around in the forest?
oh yeah, I do. I think there's a lot of things that we see, even as researchers, and we're out there, and even people that have these one-off encounters that maybe they listen to our show, maybe they listen to whatever show, but they see something in the woods or they see something around their house and they automatically go, "Oh, that's a Bigfoot." But maybe it wasn't. There's a little bit of differences there, in the description or something. Um, I mean, certainly we've got pterodactyls flying around. You know,
Yeah. Yep.
I mean, look, we
Ask
got the
Jason
deer
McLean.
woman. You got the deer woman walking around. You've got the rake walking around, which I'm not too sure about the rake. I think the rake is something else because the name the rake just really came up in the last several years, and
Yeah.
I think actually it's something else. But It
Yeah. Well, I could bring up something about that, but I'm not going to on this show about the rig. I remember listening to you before I even met you 5 years ago
I'll
about
talk
the
about it.
man. About the yeah, well, maybe I see you've started 10 questions. I would like to talk about. You know, I'm talking about you and Doss with that one guy
Oh
with
yeah.
the. I like. You know what? I tell you what. I will say this. That is one of my favorite shows that I've ever heard ever with this guy. And then at the end, I was like, "Oh, really? Are we going there? Maybe we might have to talk about that if you want to text."
I
But
think we should. I think we should talk
I,
about it after the break.
I think we should. That's great. Thanks to everybody. Thanks to Donnie, Be Kind, Scott, Titan, DAY Song, Germac for your awesome super chats. Great way to help support what we do here. Tex and I absolutely appreciate it. We appreciate each and every single one of you for what you do for us by listening and tuning in each and every night. And with that being said, yeah, Tex, we'll get into that. I'm looking for the 5-minute break button. I just came up on it. Thank you for the super chats, Tex, and I. We'll be back to talk about this really cool experience. One of my favorite shows that Tex ever did, well before I met Tex on Beyond BMR.
4 minutes to go, folks. 4 minutes. Three minutes. We're almost there. Two-minute warning, guys. 2-minute warning. 1 minute. 1 minute.
Hello, we're back with the show. Thank you to everybody for joining Tex and I Beyond BMR. We appreciate your listening. For those listening later, those in chat, those who are going to watch the replay, we do appreciate that. Once again, I hope I got everybody. And if I missed you, I do apologize. Donnie, Be Kind, Scott, Maggie, Titan, DAY Song, Jermac, thank you for your super chats. Great way to help support what we do here on the channel. And don't forget, Mondays is Texas Front Porch live at 9 o'clock in the East. Tuesdays, Van Buren Variety, 8 o'clock in the East. Beyond the BMR, 9 in the East. Jason McLean does something called Mysterious Library on Untold Radio AM at 10 in the East. Go check out Jason. Jason's back with Jason McLean Questions Everything on Wednesdays at 8 in the East. Thursday, brunch with Bigfoot, Michigan Rob, and Krista, 1 o'clock in the East. That night, the Blondes, the Booze, the Paranormal Podcast. Please subscribe. You can find Krista and Brandy there, 9 in the East. If you need a little more woo with the booze, Friday, the Blondes, the Booze, the Paranormal Podcast. Fridays, 9 in the East. Tex, Danielle Diva, Infamous Minds, 3 o'clock in the East. If you like true crime, unsolved mysteries, serial killers, fantastic show. Go check out Tex and Miss Diva. Saturdays, 3 in the East. Jessica Jones, great friend of our show. Spaced Out Radio, Saturday, Sunday. Check her out at 10 in the East. Don't forget to subscribe to Texas Front Porch on YouTube. Bigfoot, Michigan Rob on YouTube. The Blondes, the Booze, the Paranormal Podcast. Jason McLean Questions Everything. All can be found on YouTube. Thank you for all your support. Check out our About pages for upcoming events. We do more than live shows. We also drop videos and do other things with that. So I'm going to bring up Tex. And
we are back.
And we are back. Tex, thank you. You know, we were just talking, you know, this show has been, you know, kind of a little bit all over the place. You and I doing what we do. And, you know, we were talking about all these things that happened. And about 6 years ago, 7 years ago, we ended the first half of this show. I tell you what, back in the day when before I knew who Tex was, I also followed DDoS. It was the BDRP. And you guys had about a 2.5, 3 hour show. It was called, I think it was called the Great Dogman named Gray, something like that. I'll let you get into the meat of the story, Tex, but it was just one of these encounters that I was drawn in. I listened to it. Of all the YouTube shows I've ever watched, Tex, I must admit to you, I listened to it ad nauseum several times because it was one of my favorites. Unfortunately, things took a little different turn toward the end and made everybody a little, I guess, skeptical, I guess is the word, Tex, and you can describe it better than I. But it was a fantastic show, but it covered, there was an X4 Ranger. He was a ABC guy, whatever he was. It started out fantastic and it ended kind of like leaving you wonder. And again, Tex, I'm not so sure whether this was, I'm going to say it's 50-50. You got to flip a coin for me personally. I like to thought it was real, but it was a fantastic story, a fantastic encounter. If anybody wants a good encounter story, kick back, relax, grab your favorite beverage, and text if you'd like to, just kind of talk about that if you'd like.
Yeah. Now, folks, you got to remember, I'm going off memory here, so
yeah, of course,
I may get some things wrong, but Okay, so what happened was the gentleman contacted us and said he had these encounters with dogmen. And I narrated his first encounter, and then it went a little further. He sent us some more stuff, and we decided to have him on the show. And when we got to talking to him, the first encounter, what had happened was him and his buddies that were supposedly he was a military contractor, Merc or whatever, and he had a lot of military friends, and they would go out to, if I remember right, to sharpen their skills. They would go out in the brush and do mock ops or whatever. And they were out doing this, and they ran across some dogmen, and they ended up killing one. I don't remember the weapons they were using or anything like that, so don't, you know. But I can't remember if it was the second time they encountered them or the first time, but they witnessed a fight between a rake and two dogmen, I believe it was. And I can't remember if the rake killed one of the dogmen or the dogmen got the better part of the rake. But anyway, after that, he contacted us and told us that this alpha dogman had contacted him, and he was talking to him on almost a weekly or a daily basis. And when I say talking to him, he was having a verbal conversation with this dogman. He spoke English, and the pack was very upset that he had killed this other dogman. He was he was a younger dogman, from what I understand, and he was there. He was this. They called him. He called him Gray, if I remember right, because he had a very gray or silver coat, and he was protecting this gentleman. He told him he was protecting this gentleman because the pack was wanted to kill him, and so he was trying to hold him at bay and all this kind of stuff. And so we told him, we said, well, if you're having these encounters so close, why can't you come up with some evidence? Why can't you come up, you know, ask him? And we told him to be respectful of the dog man and ask him if he could take his picture, or ask him if he could record him, or if nothing else, slip an audio recorder in his shirt pocket, and just play some of the conversation, something. So he agreed to this. And right after that happened, he said, "Oh, he lost two or three guys in the first or second dealing with the dog man. They killed one or two of his friends out there. They humped them back into civilization. They contacted the groups that they were associated with. The ABC groups came and picked up the bodies, that type of thing. Um, no, no, freaky. His fur was gray or silver. Um, so right after that happened, and we'd asked him to go, try to get some evidence for us. We get the next thing we get is an email, I believe, or a text, I can't remember, that the ABC guys had raided his home or something like that, and his whole family had left him, and he had to go on a run by himself. He had to basically send his family to a safe house. He had to go on the run, and that it would behoove us to forget we ever heard from him and discredit him on air publicly for our safety.
Right.
So that's pretty much the Reader's Digest version of everything that happened. But and what a lot of people don't know is Kerry Arnold was involved in this too.
Yeah.
When this was all going on and we were dealing with it and trying to untangle this whole mess, whether he was lying to us, whether it was what that type of thing, me, Kerry, and Dee were really close, and we were, Kerry was in the loop of what was going on, and then when this guy came up and sent us this message about to discredit him and blah 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 and all this kind of stuff, it was very convenient. It was right at the time where we look, you don't have any. There's no excuse not to get some kind of evidence. And then the next day we get this, my family's gone, I'm on the run, and discredit me and all this kind of stuff. When Kerry found out about it, Kerry was livid. Kerry was absolutely livid because he felt this guy had made Dee and I look like fools. I didn't see it that way because, unfortunately, folks, you get stuff like that. You get people that will try to hoax you and try to tell try to get you to tell a fake story. That way, they can come back and say, "Oh, well, see, they'll believe anything and they'll tell anything." Well, and I know a lot of people on that have these channels and stuff. They talk about vetting people. There is no vetting process, folks. The only vetting process that you have is the gut feeling that you get from somebody, and if you believe them or not. That's the whole vetting process. Don't let people pull your chain.
Right.
How are you going to verify that this story is true? I mean, honestly.
Yeah. You
Oh,
can't.
well, I talked to several members of his family and friends. Well, so what? That doesn't mean that they're not all in on it. And if you're just getting messages from these people, how do you know it's them that you're talking to? So I see
Yeah.
Freaky
That's funny.
being a smart ass today. I like that. So my approach is, and it always has been, if I give an encounter, I'll leave it up to the audience. You can believe this or not. I'm just relaying the information. And that's really why I take the stance, and everybody in this channel that's involved with this team and everything, we take the stance of, we're not going to tell you you're lying. We're not going to tell you you're crazy. We're not, nothing, because it's up to everybody that's listening. So, I really didn't take offense to it. Carrie, on the other hand, was absolutely livid that this guy was trying to make us look like fools.
Yeah.
And if I remember right, we put out a statement. We all three of us talked, and we decided on a statement, and we put out a statement about it. And that was pretty much the end of it. But that episode where the story that I narrated, the first encounter that he sent us, and I narrated his encounter, and then the following show where we had him on live, the one that you're talking about,
Yes.
absolutely blew up, and it was everybody, love it or hate it, believe the guy or not, it was a show that captured everybody's attention,
Yes.
and they wanted to hear it, you know. And I believe I believe it's still out there. I'm not real sure. It may be over on the BDRP. It may be something that Dark Waters
Yeah.
has. I don't know,
You know,
but I think it's still out there. I'm not sure.
and I got to tell you something about this. I hope it is still out there because you know what? I will re-watch it or re-listen to it again. And again, you guys, Tex gave you totally the Reader's Digest format. It was about a 2-hour show. And I got to tell you, I've listened to in my life, Tex, and I'm being honest with you, I've listened to a lot of encounter stories, a lot of
Hmm.
different live shows on a lot of different channels. That one, I was like this, man. I was remember back in my computer, I was like this, hung on to every word this guy was saying. I mean,
Yeah,
because in the beginning, I mean, the first it was that's me. I loved it. And then of course, a couple things that I posed a question to was when he pulled out his team brought out the 50, whatever weapons they had
yeah,
and
yeah,
started tearing up the forest. I kind of and then what got to me was this towards the end he starts crying and says, and I remember this. I do. My memory's pretty good, Tex, and you'll probably remember this when he said when he was speaking to he called him Gray, the Dogman Gray. Supposedly he was talking with Gray
right.
around a campfire, whether it was physical or metaphysical, I can't remember. But the Gray, the Dogman, said to the interviewee, "Please." And this is where I was like, "Oh man, why'd you do this? You got to relay this information to D and Tex."
Yeah, yeah,
When he said that, Tex, I was like, "No, you wrecked a fantastic show." Because even me, who believes everything, as I always say, I found that hard to swallow, to be frank. Oh, I was so mad.
yeah. It was like I said, believe the guy or not believe the guy. People wanted to listen to that show, and it's it's
I recommend it. I do.
it's if nothing else, it's entertaining. I mean,
Yeah.
and there's a lot of stories out there. A lot of these shows that do nothing but encounters. Um, there is a lot of these encounters, and that from because when I listen to encounters, there's certain details that I listen for,
Yeah.
and once I hear stuff that probably don't ring too true, I'm like, no, I'm done. But I used to be really bad about that, but not so much now. But um, I think uh, y'all could probably just type in uh, Dogman Gray or whatever,
Yeah.
and
It's
or
probably somewhere there.
former what was it? Former
Ranger.
CIA
Yeah.
Dogman encounter or something
And
like that, and
then,
find
yeah,
it.
in the
Um,
story,
Jessica,
supposedly,
I bet is
yeah.
awesome. She said she's going to try to be out at the Alabama conference. Girl, I'd
Hey,
love to see
Jessica.
you, man. It'd be nice to catch up. I hadn't seen you in a long time,
Yeah. Hi,
and
Jessica.
hadn't even got to talk to you in a long time. And but getting back to it, there's encounters out there that are just so outlandish,
Yeah.
and I think people maybe not so much now because it's kind of died down, and I hope we had a small part in that because I think some people were calling into these shows or giving these encounters, and they were embellishing them. because they didn't think that their road crossing was good enough for to be told.
Yeah.
And I I hope I would rather hear a story about the Bigfoot that ran across the road in front of me, turned it, growled at me or whatever,
Yeah.
threw a branch at me, whatever, than this Bigfoot ran across the road in front of me and did a tap dance. I mean,
Yeah.
pulled me out, carjacked my car and everything. Saw him driving a John Deere tractor, whatever. I mean, it's just
Cultivated my land. I had the
yeah,
best
yeah.
corn. Bigfoot drove a tractor.
Taught me the secrets of how to plant my whatever.
Yeah, yeah, I
You
had the
know,
best crops for years.
yeah. I use Bigfoot scat for fertilizer, whatever. It's I think unfortunately especially a few years ago, people thought they needed to embellish their stories
Yeah.
for them to get any attention, and it's just it's just not
You know,
true.
yeah, and you made up some. There's a couple things I'm going to piggyback on, which I am 100% glad you brought up. As far as vetting, how can you vet stories? And as you know, and a lot of people probably know what I do every Friday, Bigfoot or Dogman encounters from either emails I get, subscribers, whatever. And I do a lot of ones that are Bigfoot crossing the road or Bigfoot was seen turn Bigfoot shadows, but then you'll
Right,
get the ones that are really out there, right?
right.
And I was talking to myself when I'm sitting here trying to produce these videos. Wow, that seems, I don't know. Then again, like I always say, I have to believe people. I never walked in their shoes. So I report it whether it's outlandish or whether it's boring. And of course,
Right.
outlandish ones get more views and boring ones
Of
don't. But
course.
for me as a person, why we do this, look, my hey, let's be frank. My Dogman encounter was outlandish. It happened to me though, and 98% of the people are with me.
I didn't know you had a dog man encounter.
Bigfoot, I meant. Did I say Dogman? No, I never seen a Dogman. And the thing is about this, again, we talked about with Dave Scott the other week about people skewing reports. Well,
Right,
the BFRO. Well, if there's
right,
UFOs involved or orbs, guess what? Your report, we're going to skew it. We're going to sanitize the report because we don't believe in the woo. Well, you know what? As far as the BFR goes, to me, they're not a credible source. The things that I get read off the cuff, raw, to me, hell, that's just as credible as a report as any. So, but back to your point, though, we can't vet these. I'm not going to call a guy who just had his best friend's kid. I did this report Friday. Asphyxiate
yeah.
himself in a car. Am I going to call the guy, and say, "Is that true?
Hmm.
Are you getting 13 minutes of fame?" Well, guess what? They're not because they're all I can never say that anonymous. No one knows. I mean, yeah, they're getting 13 minutes of my time. No one knows this person. They're not making a dime. They're making no money. So those I roll with those. And but again, Tex, who knows what's actual and what are embellished just to make it more exciting, I guess would
Right.
be the word. So so I just roll with it. And the one thing I'll never do is edit somebody's stuff they send to me. If I
No,
read it, you're getting what they tell me. You
I,
know.
I don't. I don't. And that's like I was saying. I leave it up to the audience. If you want to believe the
Right.
story, you can. If you don't, fine.
Yeah, that's fine
I
too.
mean,
Yeah.
it's but when you're getting what is called a vetted encounter, what you're getting is you're getting an encounter that the host believes. That's what you're getting. He may
Yes.
have talked to the people over the phone, and they sounded credible to him or her. That's what you're getting. You know.
I
So
mean,
thank you, Anila.
thanks, Anella. That's you're absolutely right on that.
I
I
mean,
mean,
I've got encounters on front porch that, well, one of them that I know of is pretty hard to believe, but who am I to judge? I mean, the guy had the Bigfoot in his crosshairs, and looked at him and shook his head no. He couldn't pull the trigger. So, I got another encounter about that took place in Texarkana that, you know, Bigfoot was eating a fish. Well,
yeah, right. I mean, okay,
yeah,
cool,
why not?
cool,
That
cool.
makes
Yeah,
that makes perfect sense to me. You know, um, there's a few more out there. I've got one from a rock climber that saw a Bigfoot, and
yeah.
and so yeah. I mean, hell, my encounters.
Mhm.
People believe me because they choose to. You know,
And really, if you break it down to nuts and bolts, that's what it's all about. You whatever the channel is, or radio station, or blog, or something on the internet. If you find a channel or radio show that you're comfortable with, the hosts, their guests, that's what you're going to stick with. And you go, you know what? Maybe that's so. And again, you and I never say these things are real or not. They
right?
are what we've been reported, and we do our due diligence to report them as such. Tex, I noticed that you've been starring some questions. If you and I'd like to get to those because our audience did ask. So if we wanted to go through those, we'll get
I
through them.
Yeah, I do want to say one more thing
Yes,
about
please.
vetting. We have access to a gentleman that does forensic interviewing. And so if he's able to sit down and watch somebody tell their story or their encounter, we do have a better idea if they're BSing us or not. But a lot of times you don't get that opportunity because people don't want to be made public. They just want you to tell their encounter. But on the um, rare opportunity that we get that somebody comes on and actually tells their story, it's it's a tool that we can utilize if we want. Usually we don't.
No, yeah, I tell you, yeah, and you're right because if we're just talking about our live shows, we have pretty much researchers on for the
Right.
most part. We randomly, or not randomly, rarely have people on that just tell their encounter story unless we know them from somewhere. You know what I mean? I find that this is what we do. I mean, that's what we do. So
Right. Right. All we're doing is relaying information.
yeah,
Plain and simple.
we're
You
a hub
know.
for information. And there's always the entertainment factor, of course, because you still want to be entertaining. But but again, I'll report boring stories, fabulous stories, and whatever stories. I look at it this way. If someone sends me an email and they spend 8, 9, 12, 15, 20 minutes to type me something, I'll read it through it, and they don't want to be made known. They don't want to advertise nothing. Then guess what, Tex? For me, that's good enough for me.
Yeah.
Probably because I've had an encounter. If I
Right.
didn't, I'd probably be a little more skeptical, I guess. But you know what? And a lot of people in chat were mentioning, no, we love the stories because you just don't know. And they should be told because you just don't know. And again, as we always say, Tex, we've never walked in these people's shoes. So,
Mm-hmm. Yep. And what hurts me is seeing these researchers that had some good stuff going, and then they decide to hoax something, and it blows their credibility out of the water. You can't trust anything else they put forward. You just can't.
And that's again, that's another. That's a whole show actually, Texas. Because I can
Yeah,
think
it
of
is.
I can think about a handful of guys
Mm-hmm.
over the last 5 years since I got starting in this, that all of a sudden, wow, really? And I'm like,
Yeah.
wow, and
Why? Why?
why?
Because you had good stuff going. I mean, it was why? Why do you think you got people out there claiming they'll take a picture of either somebody else's photograph or and claim it's theirs, or they'll take a photograph off of a movie or whatever and doctor it up and claim it's the real thing, and you know okay. Um in fact, we interviewed somebody a long time ago when me and you were both on brunch.
Right,
Okay. And that's what happened to them. They were very, very credible.
right.
And for some reason had to put some fake stuff out there.
Ah, yeah,
I don't know why they did it. It's never even, you can't get a straight answer out of them. Why?
yeah. I do
You
remember
know?
that. Not to, we won't get into who that person was, but yeah,
No.
I, yeah, yeah, I don't get it. Do you think Tex sometimes people that are well known in the field and they've got a lot of good media going on? I don't care if they've got a channel or a blog or whatever. Do you think sometimes if they go through a couple years in the field, because these are researchers that have got very good evidence, do you
Right.
think that they run through a period where it's just lackluster? They're not getting nothing, but they feel for their audience that they just got to provide them something. So out of desperation, they might come up with something that's not quite on the up and
I
up.
think that may very well be part of it. I think it's, they roll the dice and they say, if I can get away with this, it's going to make me more popular,
Yeah.
that type of thing. But they do nothing, but they don't even, the thing about it is it's a very selfish thing to do, because it doesn't only hurt them if it gets brought to light. It hurts everybody
It,
in the
it hurt.
subject
It hurts
and the subject
research.
itself.
It hurts research. And the biggest thing I always bring up about people that sanitize reports, I don't care if it, I shouldn't say I don't care. What I care about is this: when certain factions eliminate facts or take out or omit things in a report,
Right.
report is no longer no is not any good. Plus, text,
Mm-mm.
like I always talk about, there's data in there that just needs to be broadcast.
Right.
I've said the Dogman crossing the road. Yes, of course, we've heard it a million times. Still, it needs to be reported. The Bigfoot with the orbs or the UFO, yes, it's sanitized by said individuals. However, if there's 50,000 of the same type of reports and you want to eliminate 4,000 of them, that affects the people that are boots on the ground researchers, that hinders them. It does not help them.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it skews the evidence, it skews the reports, it skews the raw data that researchers for us go to those databases to look for. Because
Yeah.
who are you to say, and this goes right back to our stance on stuff, Rob.
Yeah.
Who are they people to say that this didn't happen? Just
Right.
because you don't believe it, they're not going to put it out there. Just because
Right.
you've never experienced it, they're not going to put it out there. That's hurting everybody. You know.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
you want to get to some of these questions?
Yeah. Let's yeah, we might as well get some of these through
You
some of
want to
these.
drive? You want me to drive?
Don't matter if you just want to pull them up and read them. That way I can see them.
All right, cool. Um, this one is actually to me and Danielle. They just found 6 women, I believe, Portland, Oregon, throughout the woods where they haven't found the culprit yet. Thank you, Titan. I will look into that. I don't know if I think Danielle's still listening. So Danielle, if you're listening, take mental note of that, and we'll look into that case. Golly, you got to file through all these freaking super chats and super stickers. Y'all are so, man, y'all are so awesome.
Yeah.
Rob Titan asked Rob, "Do you get any stories of ghost ships out there on the Great Lakes?"
You know
That's
what?
a
I
great
have
question.
actually. I have a couple that I have not. I have not put them out yet. It's some very creepy ones. I've actually got ghost ships and some haunted lighthouses. They'll be coming soon, shortly, and then for the
Awesome.
summer. For the
I'm
summer,
looking forward to
absolutely.
those.
Mhm.
I've been reading, listening to a lot of these shipwreck tales and all this kind of stuff. I find that
Yeah,
stuff very, very interesting.
I love it all. I love it all. Yep.
Titan again says, "Text Rob, do y'all suppose it's necessary to expose what you think is an embellished story to preserve a more serious community?" No, I don't.
No.
Like, like I said, my 2 cents is I'm giving the information. It's not my job to judge if it's BS or not. It's my job to put the information out there.
Yep.
So
Yeah. And again, and you got to remember something too, Titan. We do this because we love to do it. We enjoy it. I'm not one of these guys. I'm not one of these critical thinkers, which are channels out there that breaks down every single story and says why it's false. I don't care about that. If you send me a story, I'm going to read it.
yeah, same here. Oh, excuse me. I had one hiccup. I'm kind of filing through here, see if I missed anything real quick. I don't see anything. Got one last one. Werewolf says, "What is the definition of a rake?" Okay, basically, I think the rake phenomenon has just come on scene last several years. But what is generally described as a rake is a tall, thin, gray, pale gray creature that is extremely agile, extremely strong, and vicious. I think a lot of people just put the name rake to it, calling it. I think that may have been a creepy pasta thing, but I think what they're calling a rake is no more than what we all called a ghoul
A
back in the day.
ghoul, yeah, a ghoul, yeah. I believe that to be true as well. Or that's what I that's what I break it down to. So let's see.
Yeah, and that's it.
Yeah, that is it. Well, thank you. I really enjoyed this text because it's not every day that I like to have guests on any of my shows, and I know on same with the front porch.
Right.
I find a lot of times when you and I just kick it, it ends up being just a great show, and they always are. And I like to appreciate everybody out there that came on and listened. Donnie, Anella, Be Kind, Scott, Maggie, Titan, DA, White Song, Jermac. Thank you guys for your love and support with your super chats. Again, it does help us move on with what we do on a daily basis. Please, everybody, don't forget to subscribe to Texas Front Porch. Subscribe to Bigfoot, Michigan Rob, the Blondes and the Booze Paranormal Podcast. My buddy Jessica's out there still, the Cryptid Huntress, Space Out Radio. Everyone, prayers for Dave and his family. I'm going to leave it at that. Monster
Yeah.
Radio, thanks for joining us. I love all you guys. Tex loves you all. Again, fantastic show. We talked in the beginning, we were all over the place, but then we got it together as we always do.
And y'all don't forget Bob Van Buren. He's
Yes.
does different than we do. He's got a lovely singer on. He had singer, songwriter, and author today. It was a great show. Lovely woman. That's kind of his gig. So jump over there and hit that subscribe button. Give him a thumbs up. Tell him we sent you. So
Yep. Very good. Yeah. Yes, Tex, for sure on that one. And don't forget, Tex, you got really quickly on Thursday, you guys. This is gonna be kind of an interesting show for brunch with Bigfoot, Mr. Rob, on Thursday. Again, I have no guests. There's no guests for me this week. Next week we'll get them. I'll be talking with Randy and Krista in their excitement as they drive to Alabama for the Alabama Bigfoot conference. So it's gonna be me and the girls live from their vehicle, and we're going to talk about kind of like today's show. So give us check us out because I know they're excited, Tex. And I wish I was going. God, I just should jump on a plane maybe Friday. I don't know, but anyways,
we'd love to have you, brother.
I know.
And something else y'all need to watch for is Thursday night. We're doing a paranormal investigation at the venue that the conference is being held at.
Man.
And if at all possible, we're going to do it live. So y'all be on the watch out. Y'all be on the watch for that. We will know. Me and Randy will know early tomorrow if we're able to do it or not. So we'll let the girls know and everything. So yeah.
Yeah, very good. Fantastic show. Again, thank you, Tex. Thanks to each and every single one of you. We do appreciate it. Love your support. Again, subscribe across the board. Me and the girls have an interesting show on Thursday. Excuse me, as my pain medication is starting to hit. But with that being said, for Tex, for everybody across the porch board and the BMR Avenue, we are out.